All right, so now we're recording our 5th lecture, September 30th. So we're gonna continue working with, our house, which is the Azuma house, right? And today I'll focus on a lot more detail and do a bit of a recap from last class. There were some problems we had in our model, with the mapping. So I was testing it and I found the problem with it. So I'm just gonna go back and fix it with you guys and then start mapping, the house so we can start rendering, more precise works there. All right, I see Katya also joining, but let me just mark you present. Also Garcelle.
And Daniel.
Daniel, okay, I have two Daniels, Daniel Javier and Daniel Perez.
Daniel Perez, yeah.
Okay. Jessica, you there? Okay. Let's see, Dante. Albijon. Okay, I see you there. And Stephanie. Okay, I'll do another check later on in class. All right, so let's, we're recording the lecture now, so let me start by sharing my screen here.
Professor, did you get me?
Yes, I put you down.
Okay.
Professor, I forgot to tell you, Mimosa
Yes.
Was having problem with her computer. But
Yes.
she's gonna join us as soon as she solves the problem.
Okay. Yeah, she sent me an email. But thank you for the update. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if you're having computer problems, just join the lecture. Even if you can't do it, it's better than to skip the whole class. So I'm gonna share my 3D Max here. All right. So we're here. Well, this is 3D Max 2021, right? And I know that last time we met in class, we were starting to apply the materials here, right? And we're applying the concrete. And I know that we struggled a bit because some things were not applying properly to the material. So I kept checking the model, and I found that the model just had to be exploded because the way that it was created, it was done, you see that this part combines, if I do here and I do isolate, it combines multiple parts together. So when you mapped it, it was trying to map, in a very strange way. So the way that I found that we can fix it, was fairly easy. So I think we'll do it today from scratch. And this project, again, has only 5 materials. That's all. It has the concrete, which is all the exterior walls. It has the concrete tile on the bottom floor and this kind of bridge, right? It has wood floor on both sides of these 2 spaces. And it has the black metal frame and the glass. That's it, very simple material. But again, even though they're simple, we'll take a lot of care to make them look as real as possible. So this way we can try to capture realistic scenes from this, right? And also we're gonna look at, right now we have 1 camera up here, 1 camera below there. And I wanna have a total of 5 cameras in this scene, right? And then, these scenes are important because the cameras are going to capture a space, right? And you're going to try to relate the camera view to the person. So this way, the person looking at your rendering can connect with that space, right? Either with the color of the atmosphere, so they can feel like they're relaxed, by having a certain focus, having a certain chair, so you can imagine being in that space, enjoying, the same view. So first of all, let me just, I'm gonna hide these cameras for a second. So I'm gonna go up here, and here we have all, right? So that means I can select any object in the entire scene. And I can also be very selective. I can say here cameras, and I can select now pretty much only cameras, right? So I'm gonna pick this cameras and do hide selected. So I'm leaving only geometry. I'll do back to all. And the way that I found you can fix this is pretty much just select everything, right? Right click it and convert everything to editable mesh. So it will reset all the X, Y, and Z coordinates, and that will address some of the mapping problems we had in the last class. So, okay, so I did select everything, convert to editable mesh, everything should now be reset. So we can start to, to work more closely. So let me unhide all, right? We also made last class the sky dome, right? For now, I'm going to hide it. And I'm gonna look at my cameras here because I wanna set up 5 cameras. And these are all gonna be interior shots, right? So because I'm gonna focus only on cameras, I'm going to go up here and do just camera. So I'm not moving or touching anything else in the scene. And let's see, so we have one camera down here, which looks fine. The other camera is the upper bridge. That's fine. Let's look at other. So I'm gonna copy the upper bridge camera here. And I'm gonna put one more. Let's try to put one here. Oops. And I'll do copy, right? Don't do instance. And we'll call this camera, let's see, bedroom, right? I can hear somebody's TV back there. Maybe if you can mute yourself, please. Somebody's watching TV very loudly.
Jackie?
I think it's Jackie, yeah. So I'm gonna mute Jackie. Okay, that was it. I now know he's watching a movie there. Okay, so I'm gonna move this camera here. Just we can see, later we can, move the camera in the correct place. For now, I just wanna get it in somewhat of a interesting angle. And I'm gonna switch this view from left view to front view so I can see much better, the camera location with that. And this camera, I'm gonna go a little bit lower because I can imagine myself sitting in a chair looking down at this space. So that'll be my camera number, let's say 3 for now. Later we'll make more, but for now, let's leave those 3 cameras there because at least with this camera, I can see the main materials, which is the concrete, the black frame, the glass, the wood floor, also concrete above here, and the other material is not here. It's this here, which is the lower tile floor. Right? And we're gonna use materials that I'm gonna give you guys. In the next project, we're gonna make our own materials, and spend more time. Because here it's more simple, I wanna focus in the material settings and how to get the best out of the material and, and to look more, realistic. So let me go back. Let me just open one thing here for a second. I'm gonna share your folder. Let me just find it. Okay, I'm gonna share the concrete. All right, so this is your folder that you currently have on your, let's see, on our class folder, right? So this folder has, I put here almost everything that we need, right? We have a bunch of these concrete tiles, we're gonna use one that's probably darker here. And we can always use Photoshop to make it dark if we need to, but this is a nice concrete tile. It's very good quality. It's seamless. And it also has a bump over here, right? Which we can give it more detail. It also has here a bunch of other ones. For example, this concrete Meiji 2, and also the bump here, it's a high quality material. So it's 1800 by 2400 DPI. So it's not blurry. So it'll give a nice sharp effect. And there's a bunch of other extra ones if you guys want to ever use for, your personal projects. So again, let's start by making, again, from scratch, the more precise concrete. And I know that the panels of the house are mostly horizontal panels of concrete. So guys, give me 1 second. My son is calling me. Okay, he's taking a class upstairs. I'm sorry to, just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back here, sorry. Let's see here. So I was sharing, we're looking at those materials, we're gonna use those for the house. And the house, we know that it has the horizontal concrete panels, right? So let's just, and again, those materials, everything is in your Dropbox folder. So so we're gonna try to map, the house today, almost everything today, and start to look at the renderings and lighting in more detail, right? So we can start to document our progress in the class. All right, so let's look at here. So I'm gonna go to, all right, let me go to the material tab, right? And last week we had made, 2 materials, right? We had made one that was not so good, it was like a very low quality material. This one here that was very blurry. And we made one also that was much better. It was a very sharp looking material. So this one here, and again, it has a weird shape because last time we were trying to make it fit, and it wasn't mapping correctly and all these things were happening. So I'm gonna go to this material here and just reset those settings. I'm gonna make it back to tile, back to 1 and 1, right? I'll go back and this also makes 0. So I'm resetting all these. Actually, maybe to make it easier, let's just start from the beginning. So I'm not doing, so let's just go here to get material and we'll go from the scratch. This way it might get more confusing if I try to override everything we did last class. So I'm gonna hit V-Ray material. I'm gonna call this main concrete. And let's start adding, and we're gonna add something in the map, right? We're gonna use something for diffuse. Again, do not use bitmap lookup. That's the wrong one. Make sure that just, close that and go to, let's see, you have to find it here. Under general and use just bitmap. That's very important. Otherwise, the other one gives you other problems. So we're gonna use under general bitmap to find our material. All right, then we go to our, I'm gonna just use the one in your class folder. Let's see, what are we doing? Friday, Wednesday. Class folder, and in your course material, you have the folder called concrete, right? So here in this folder, I'm just gonna make it a little bigger, and we're gonna use, let's see. So we have 2 types. One is vertical panels. I'm looking for the one that has panels that are horizontal. Let's see. That one doesn't look bad yet, so I'm gonna use this one here called Concrete A Meiji. And I'm gonna use also Concrete A Meiji Bump afterwards. So first of all, let's pick that one. I'm gonna make this bigger so you guys can see. You see there the concrete. I can also do here view image to review it. And it's a nice quality. I can zoom in, it's a nice quality image. All right, next, for now, let's go back to this. Now I'm going to add a bump to this. So I'm just gonna take this one here and just drag it to the bump so I save time. I don't have to relink it to that folder. Make sure you do, in this case, copy. Yes. And I'm gonna click here, go to the material, and we'll apply the correct one. So let's see, I had before view large. Okay, and we did, there's a bunch of different names. I should have cleaned this up, but this one here, Concrete A Meiji Bump. I'm gonna use that one and just double click it. Okay, so we can see now we have some bump added here. And just to be a bit more precise, I'm going to add the same diffuse map here, the one that we did for Concrete A. I'm gonna also drop it in the, let's see, in the reflect, which is the one below this, and do copy. This way, we have more control over the diffuse, the reflection, and the bump of the space, right? So we have now those 2 added, and we can see here that it became fairly glossy, the concrete. So let's go back up here and just see what we have. So we do have Fresno, which is fine, right? Fresno, it's good for matte material. If I take off Fresno, it will become really glossy. It looks almost like a metallic sphere. So we'll keep Fresno on. And I want to make this white area be less glossy and look up here more like a rough finish. So how can I achieve that? You guys can tell me. How can I distort this reflection so it's not so glossy looking or so perfect?
You could change the glossiness from 1.0 to 0.7.
Exactly, yes. So let's go from 1 I'm gonna make it 0.9, see what happens. So right away it starts to scatter that light, right? So let's try 0.8. So 0.8 is scattered even more. I can still see it here. I can see like a hotspot, but I don't see it as precise. So for now, I'll leave it as 0.8. Later, we can come back, and adjust those settings, but only after we render it, and we have the, the right settings. For now, it's a good enough quality. All right, so let's just take that, and I'm going to maximize this view here. Okay, I'm gonna take this, and we're gonna focus pretty much on applying it to, for now, to those two walls here. So first of all, let me just switch here back to all, so I can select the correct piece. I'm going to select this wall and do isolate selection. All right, so there's my wall here, right? So I'm gonna open material tab. I can close this now, and I'm gonna take this material, which is my main concrete, and just drag and drop it here, right? And we can see it applied to the whole, the whole element. We can check both sides. And, there's no weird angles like before. It is applied, it is, the wrong scale, but that we can fix, right? And once we have that, we just go to the properties tab, which is this little blue square, and we're gonna apply those two modifiers to this panel, right? So I'm gonna go here, go to UV map, go to box, it's box looking shape, and then we'll apply the one called map scalar. All right, it became very small. Okay, that's fine. We see that the panels are still horizontal, which is good. The scale is small, we can make it bigger. And here also is good here. So there's no more problems with the materials. Before last week, they were having strange angles with this, right? So what we need to do now is how do I check the scale of this? Or, how do I know how big this is? So first of all, I want to look at an image of this space, So let me just go back here. And I also gave you house a bunch of images. And there's one that we can check quickly to just get again, it's just more like an estimate. We don't have to have the exact dimensions, but let's see, we have this picture here. I'm looking for one where we can see here. So this is a good shot. We have pretty much between the top of the roof and the floor, we have 1, 2, and 3 panels, right? Roughly 3 panels and maybe have a panel above. So ideally I want one line to align with this, 3 panels, and the third line aligns with that. So that will give us a rough idea of how big to make him. So let's switch back to here. And of course, right now I have no way to check this. So I'm going to and isolate, and I'm going to select this piece, and isolate so that I can see these 2 parts. So ideally I want from this piece to here, I want to have, the panels, 3 panels located. And right now, obviously they're too small. So I'm gonna make the panels bigger. And then I can play with the settings here to make it lower. So right here I have 1 panel, 2, and 3 somewhere there. So let's see if we can. So I line that there. So 1 panel, 2, and roughly 3, right? So for me, that's close enough. And then this line here was a little bit more pushed back, something like that. So again, that's a close enough setting for this. Again, use the images and try to get as close as possible to the to whatever you have there. All right, so let's do now and isolate. And I'm gonna pick this again, this, and I'm gonna pick the other wall.
Yeah, he's gonna chase you down.
What's up? No? Okay.
Yeah, for everyone, honestly. The thing is insane.
Raymond, you talking or somebody talking to me?
No, that's not me.
Okay, I think it's Jackie again. Okay, I'm just trying to mute everybody. You guys can always.
Strat of this game is just ramming everything in the beginning.
Who's that?
I'll be on.
I don't recognize the voice, so I'm just gonna try and mute everybody in the class. You guys can always unmute yourselves. or if you want to talk afterwards. Maybe Ali John, I'm gonna mute you also. Okay. So now I want to map the same thing to this, right? So again, it's fairly simple. And once you do one, you know, it gets easier and easier because you can always copy settings over to something else. So for example here, in this panel, right, we added a UV map, right? And we added a map scale, right, for this, right? For this one that currently has no map, again, we can just select it, pick the material, and apply, right? But you see that it's a different scale, right, than the one here, right? So what I can do here to try to match the exact scale, right? Otherwise, I have to do copy and paste, is I can select this one, the one that is correct, and I can go to UV map and drag it and drop it to this one, right? Go back again to this one. Now go to map scaler, drag it, and drop it on this one. And now it's gonna match the same scale, right? So now we know that they're both at the same scale, and that's, you know, no problems there. Otherwise, we have to do copy and paste, and it gets more tedious and it can cause, you know, some problems there. All right, so let me do an isolate. Let's see if we can, let's do a camera view on the bedroom view here. And let's see what it looks like, right? So I'm going to also unhide all so I can see the sky dome. And let's do a test rendering and see if it, you know, how this looks. So that we can see little by little, as we add more detail, what's happening in the scene. Okay, so I already see a bunch of problems here, which is fine. All right, so you guys tell me here, what are some problems? And I'm taking an interior shot because if I was exterior, I wouldn't be able to see reflection as well, right? It will look more hip, but because we're in a dark space, then things reflect much more precisely, right? And you know, right now it's still rendering. You can see here that it's still, you know, this gets better as it renders. You know, it might look very messy in the beginning, but as it finishes, it'll get cleaned up and it'll be more better. But right now, what do you think is the problem with this?
It's too glossy.
Glossy.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, so it's too glossy. So let's see what we can fix over here, right? And I think the bump is a little bit maybe too much also. So let's address those things. So I'm gonna hit material. Come on. Okay, let's go to material tab. All right, so I'm going to, first of all, the bump I think is too much, so I'm gonna drop it from 30 to 15, okay? The reflection is too much, right? So you see here how it dropped the bump into reflection. That means that this tab here controls the reflection, right? 100% is the strongest one. So if I drop it by 50, that means it'll be 50% less, right? And let's just do a test. You know, I'm gonna do a region here, and let's render only half of this and compare it to the lower bottom here. See if it actually made a difference in the reflection. Okay, let's see. Slight reflection, yep.
Not really.
No, okay, let's go back to over here. Okay, just leave him upstairs, my son, sorry. Leave him upstairs. Close the door. Okay, so yeah, let's look at back here. So we have, so again, you see how we have an M over here, right? And M means the material controlling this tab. So we have diffuse, right? And M, that means material, because we have a material added to the diffuse area, right? For reflect, we have also material. So that means that if you ever see an M here, that means there's a material controlling this part of the element, right? So if we go here and we lower the, see right now it's in black, you know, black typically means no reflection, right? But because M is there, then that material is the one controlling this. So I'm actually going to lower the glossiness to 0.7. And let's see what else we do here. And leave it as 50%. Let's see if that makes any difference. And render again. All right, so I like it a little better. It's scattering more the reflection, right? And ideally, you should be able to see some color here, but if it gets to be too clear, it means it's too glossy, right? So even though it's more scattered, we can still tell that it's a little bit glossy, but not as clear as here. So 0.7, it looks to me a little better. And actually, let me try over here also. And again, as we add more materials, we might have to go back and make other, corrections. But for now, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it looks better.
Okay, we can always come back and make other changes. All right, so let's make another simple one. All the metal frames are just metallic black, so it's a very simple material. So let's just make that. I'm gonna take this sky dome and I'm going to hide it so we don't, Also, if you see here, if I click here and do right click isolate, they're all grouped together, all these window frames, right? So let's go here and make another material. So I'm gonna go to V-Ray, get a simple V-Ray material. In this case, we don't need any map, right? Because we're making only a black frame, right? So ideally, all we have to do is just the diffuse, go to don't go to black. I go to like a charcoal. It's gonna appear black in the scene. So it's something like a dark charcoal color. It's good. Keep the Fresnel on, right? We'll have a slight reflection. So something like a dark charcoal. And the glossiness, we'll bring it down because let's try 0.8. So we get a more scattered, light source there, right? 0.7, let's see. For now, I'll leave it as 0.8. And for now, that's a very simple to make. I'm just gonna select this and apply that to all the frames. So now there should be like a, charcoal looking gray color. The other material that we have is this red one here on both sides is a wood material. And I right now think it's on the two different colors, like one is orange, one is red. So this way, if you want, you could technically change the type of floor, right? So I'm gonna pick this one and just do isolate. So this is pretty much just a plane, right? And that's the top of the floor, right? Nothing more. So let me see if I have something in your folder with this. Let me check here. I'm gonna check in your Sky folder. Give me a second to look at your folder. Course material. Okay. I'm gonna put something in there. So I'm gonna drop a wood material into your class folder. So it'll be same thing on the course material, and I put it in the same folder as the concrete, just to make it simple. Okay. So let's go here. So I'm going to again. We have to make a new material, right? So fairly simple. Let's go over here, and we're just gonna do get material. We'll do again V-Ray material. One thing to be clear is give it a name, right? This one's called main concrete. This one's gonna be called like frame. And this one's gonna be called, let's say wood floor, right? I'm gonna make this bigger so you guys can see it here. So again, let's start by just adding the diffuse map, right? So under diffuse, we'll go to bitmap. And you see how I added, you see that wood material that's there? So we're gonna use that one to try to apply it, Okay, let me just get something there. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one here called Beechwood Natural. Okay. So you should be able to see it there. Right? It's a, again, it's a seamless material. It's high quality. And let's see here. And just because to make it simple, I'm gonna use the same material as the bump. So I'm gonna take, and again, we'll go into more detail eventually in the next project. For now, I wanna focus on the quality of the light and those things. So I'm gonna take that same material it's currently under diffuse, drag it, and I'm gonna drop it into the bump. But I'm gonna lower the bump from 30. Let's make it like 5, something very minimal. Okay, and this material again, we'll make it glossy just to make it more dramatic, right? So being glossy, I'm going to remove Fresnel, right, and add a little bit of reflect color from black into gray, and we see now it's actually pretty glossy, right? Again, we have to be careful not to go too much, because if we go lower, too much, it's going to become like a metal sphere. So I'm going to give it only a little bit of glossiness, like that. I'll keep the glossiness as 1. And for now, let's test it out. Yeah, let's just click this, apply it, right? See that when I put here, I see only the color. Again, if you see that, just remember that you still have to add the 2 modifiers. Right? You gotta go to modify panel, and you have to add the UV map. In this case, we'll do planar, and then we'll do map scalar again. Okay, and then we can play with the scale. For now, the scale seems to be okay, so I'm not gonna modify too much. So let's do and isolate. And let's do another test rendering here. Again, let me unhide everything and see what this looks like. So let me cancel this. And as you add more materials, then of course, the room color is going to change. The lighting is going to change depending on the reflection of the material, right? If it's too reflective, if it's the color's lighter, it's going to become lighter. If the color's darker, the room is going to get darker. You see also now it's again starting to take more time to render, because as we add more reflective quality elements, it takes longer to render. So little by little, it might take longer to render. So right now, what do you guys think of this floor?
It's too glossy.
Too glossy, yeah.
It's too glossy, right? So way too glossy. So let's just make a change to this. So let's go back here to the reflect. Yes.
Could you keep it that way if you want to, or is better?
It's really a choice. You can definitely have the floor this glossiness, right? That does, you can definitely have it. Just it's very hard to maintain, but it is possible. Yes. It's all more like a personal choice, right? I like floors that are more like more towards a matte looking finish, not too glossy. But it is, I've seen floors this glossy also. Yeah. So if you want to make it more glossy, I'm okay with that. Yes. Just try it out and see what it looks like. So see, we're actually very close to black here. So I'm going to lower it even more to 5, which gives you a very subtle reflection here. So let's just see what this looks like again, and I'll render the whole thing. Okay. You see here that we can see a bit of the grain of the wood. That's because of the bump, right? If I were to make the bump stronger, then I'll be able to see more of this grain. So it's not that bad. I want to try one more thing here. I want to try adding a 0.9 glossiness, just to make the reflection a little bit more abstract, so it's not so precise. So it starts to obscure, and it gives you a sense of almost like a more going towards a matte looking material, which I prefer a bit more. And I think it matches more the actual, I've been to this house in Japan, and the floor, it's not really that glossy. So I think this one, for now, it looks a little better, right? Again, whatever I do here, I will come back to it later, because once I see everything as one, then I can make other corrections in the material. Okay, so we have the floor here done. We have the glass. We have the black frame. We're still missing this part. And this part, I think, is I believe is the same material, right? Let me just check. Yeah, it's the same material. So the same concrete panel. So ideally, almost everything has the same concrete panel. All right, so let's see if we can apply, even these 2 areas have the same concrete, and a few others might have to change. So let me hide again the sky dome. Oops. Hide all. I'm going to maximize this. All right, so we can start looking at this. Okay, so we know that, first of all, let's see what we have here. That one doesn't look bad. That one looks pretty good. Okay. So what I typically do is the ones that are already mapped, I tend to hide. This way, you know, I know what I'm, in this case, I'm gonna take this wall and hide it so that I have access to the inside here. Otherwise, it becomes more difficult to see, right? So this could be the same wood, you know, so so you can do it actually very easy. So if I go here to material tab, right, all I do is just take this one, apply it, right, and then click on this one, right, go to the properties, UV map and drag it and drop it there. Then we go to back to this one, map scalar, drag it and drop it there. And it's gonna match the same settings, right? So you can,
Question.
yes, Kira, right? Fine.
Yeah. Sorry. We can drag and drop this two at the same time.
At the same time,
Yeah.
I've actually never tried that. I've never tried before, so actually try and see what happens. I know that make sure when I drag it, you know, if I drag it out of order, it gives me problems. So I always drag first UV map, you know, and second I drag map scalar. I think this way, I think it's more precise, so we can control which one has priority of the other. If you put them out of order, it starts to mess up the material.
Okay.
And truly, I've never tried to drag more than one at the same time. So let me know if you tried, you know, how it goes.
Okay, well.
Okay, all right. All right, let's see here. So actually, let's do with the floor. So let's try this floor down here, right? So I'm going to just take, let's go here. Actually, I'm gonna take this one and copy it here. And we're gonna call this concrete tile. This, I'm gonna go put it back to 1. Leave it as, yeah, leave it as that. Let's go back down here and go to the maps. And we're gonna change this material to something that looks, you know, like the actual. So if you're able to look in your computer at the photographs, let me just stop sharing for a second. And we'll share. Here. All right, so this is a rendering, right? This is not an actual photograph. So you have a different color floor. So not really a big deal. So same concrete here, same concrete, everything's pretty much concrete. This is the black frame. So if we look closely at the inside, then the floor here on the inside is it's a 1 foot tile that covers the top of the floor and also the bottom of the floor here. This wall here is the same concrete. And then this one here, the inside is like a dark concrete with no, looks like it has no pattern, right? So something very simple. So, and over here is the same concrete below this. So let's try to map this one here. And I'm gonna try and cover mapping hopefully the whole house today so we can catch up from last week. So let's go back. Again, stop me anytime if I go too fast. And I'm going to use, let's see. I think this one looks good. This is like this tile. It's like a concrete tile, a bit darker. So I'm gonna use, I believe there's also a bump here. If you look around here, here's the bump. So concrete Haban bump. So I'm gonna use this one. There's the tile, right? And then let's go to the bump and just switch it for this one here. Okay, and in this case, the bump, I'm gonna make it a bit more because it's a concrete tile. I'm gonna go from 5 to 10. Let's go on top, you know, again, because it's concrete, I don't want it to be too reflective, right? So I'm gonna make the glossiness, first of all, I'm gonna put Fresno on. I'm gonna make the glossiness be 0.8. And the reflect will make it only, you know, a little bit. Not too much. And again, we can always edit later. We can see a little bit of a hot spot over here. And for now, you know, I'm making those, you know, quick assumptions of the material, and later I'll, you know, look at it in more detail. So I'm gonna apply here, materials, close that, and apply. Again, it looks strange. So we're just going to add the UV map. In this case, I'll do planar, and we'll apply the map scalar. Okay. Next, we just have to check, how big is these tiles, right? So let's just quickly go back to that image that we had before and see if we can do a check here. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, roughly about 10 tiles, plus or minus. So let's go back to our area. And we have right now here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's more. So we gotta make it a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna take this. Let's go back to the map scalar. Make it a little bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's good. I'm just gonna adjust it so it fits better. So roughly we have 10 exact tiles. We can always, again, I'm doing this very fast. You guys can spend more time to get it, more precisely, set up. So I have roughly here 10 tiles side to side. And things like this, where this is aligned, I can always zoom in, make a little adjustment here. So this line aligns with that. And that looks, that looks pretty good, right? So we have here wood floor, tile floor. Also this one here is also the same material. So I'm gonna click on that one there. Oops. And apply that one, right? Again, I'll do UV map scalar. And I'm gonna click here, and again, before, I'm gonna drag the UV map there and go back here. Oh, wrong one. Oh, that one already has it there, okay. Oops. So here, so this one actually, I'm gonna delete the map scalar. I don't know if I put it before. Okay, and I'm gonna click here on the one on the floor and drag the UV map, and then go back to the lower one and drag the map scalar. So now they're the exact same size. And we can always go here, for now it looks to me pretty good. And really everything that's left here is just the concrete, right? And then the dark concrete for this area over here, right? So let's just see what we can do here.
Professor,
Yes.
is there a way to click on an object and know what kind of material is applied to the object?
Yes. So let's see, if you're over here, this is your empty area, right?
Yeah.
If you click on the eyedrop tool here, take material, so just click here and just click here. It's gonna load it over here. You can see what's being applied. And then you can modify it.
Okay.
So again, you can click on anything. It's gonna load it there. Whether it's concrete or the tile.
Professor,
Yes.
if we lost this mapping or we have different files, can we just load the material and then like save it somewhere for different projects?
Not really, no, like this material.
Mm-hmm.
What you could do is, you can make a blank file with all the materials.
Yes.
And just open it later, and it will have the links to those materials if you want to use them again.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. All right, so the rest is pretty simple. So I think for now, see, I'm going to click on the frame, and I'm going to hide it. I'll click on the glass and hide it. The wood floor, hide it. This hide. This one hide. This one hides. I'm leaving pretty much behind only the ones that are just that regular concrete. So, and also this one here. This is a different concrete type. So everything that's left behind here is the regular concrete, I believe. No, this should also be, this also is the frame, sorry. This is the door frame. So I'm gonna make it as that, hide it. This is the door, so I'm gonna hide this for now. I'm just doing a check here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, everything else is concrete. So at this point, I could take this one also. I'm going to hide. Yeah, I'm going to check it. This one, I'm going to check what is the scale here. So in this case, I am going to copy the scale just to make it simpler. I'm going to just select here and control copy. So this is the scale for this concrete. I'm going to hide this. So what I left behind is pretty much every other element that is meant to be, concrete. Let me hide the cameras just to be simple. And I'm going to just select everything. Select the whole thing, right? Go back to my concrete, apply it, replace it, yes. Okay, and then we'll go back to the UV map. Okay. In this case, I'll go with box, and we'll put again the map scaler. And then here, Control V. So now I applied the correct material. And now I can do unhide all. And I'm gonna hide this also. And we can see that we have now applied that concrete to pretty much everything else in the scene. On the ceiling, below this, if I miss anything. So I did miss this one over here. So let's just, this is just a simple dark concrete. So let's see if we have something there that we can use. So I'm gonna take this one and copy it here. We'll call this dark concrete. Let's go here to the maps and see what's there. So nothing really, I need like a, this one could work, this is like the only thing, for now I'm gonna apply this one here. I think if you want, you can take this material to Photoshop, and you can make it a little bit grayer, you can play with the color of this. This one I like because it has no pattern, right? These ones have the grid pattern. This is not, so that means it's a seamless material. The color is not exactly the same. It should be more gray, but for that class, I think it's fine. If you guys can, just open it in Photoshop and, also check the photograph and try to match the photograph, that'll be ideal. So I'm gonna use this one here. Okay, and we see here that it's simply just a concrete material. And I'm going to just copy this one also here. All right, so now we have no grid, just a seamless material. And I can apply here. Let's go here. Okay, we have something like this. We can always go up and down to fix this. So at this point, I have enough of everything mapped that I feel comfortable that I can start to take maybe a few more renderings. So I'll do unhide all. I'll go back to this view and let's render.
Professor?
That looks great.
Yes.
How long would you think is too long to render, minutes wise?
It's right now, it depends first of all on your computer speed, right? For a final rendering, you might expect an hour to render, depending on the resolution of the image, the lighting settings. Right now, we're doing everything at the lowest setting, and it's actually not a bad rendering at the lowest setting, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. If you're gonna print a poster, obviously we need more pixels, right? So we'll make a much bigger rendering. It all really relies on your computer speed. It could take 5 minutes, it could take 3 hours, depending on how fast your computer is, right? Right now, this rendering here is taking me 41 seconds to finish. So it really varies, right?
It was taking me around 15 minutes. I don't know why. Because the first times I did the first 2 assignments, it was quick.
Yeah.
Now, for the
Well,
last
now these materials are more advanced, you know, so they have bump, that reflection, and you know, again, my computer is very fast.
Yeah.
So it's probably normal, you know, that it could take 15 minutes in yours, it could take mine 40 seconds. You know, it depends on, you know, on the graphics card, it depends on the CPU. So yeah. So I mean, right now, what do you think of this rendering? You know, again, critique it, you know.
The ceiling looks kind of off. The tiles on the ceiling.
They're off, okay. Yes, you know, it's true, yes. Right now, you see the lines.
It's kind of dark.
Yes, it's dark because, you know, right now we haven't played with the light yet. So again, this house has no lights in the ceiling, right? There's no recessed lights. Everything is done through small lamps, right? So, you know, our next stage, you know, first of all, is try to get the natural light in here, right? Eventually, in the next class, we'll deal with props, you know, bringing stuff here to, you know, bring it. Right now, it's a shell, right? So, and you're right, there are things that don't align here. For example, here, look at this line up here, right? Doesn't align here, right? So what that becomes a little bit tricky because the only way really to fix this is to isolate this panel, right? Apply its own unique material and then move, because if I go to move this one, everything's going to move because I use the same material for everything. So if you want to really fix this, what we can do here, first of all, let's see if we can fix it here so you guys can see. Again, I wouldn't do it in every single shot, you know, just, again, important is figure out what are your main cameras, right? This way you're not fixing everything if you're not going to see it, right? So I know that my camera is, where is it? All right, let me maximize this here. I'm going to hide this thing and my camera is here. So, okay, so the one that's a problem is this one here, right? So I'm going to take this thing and isolate it. Okay, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna pick this, right? You go to the properties. I'll go to the edible mesh properties, and I'm going to use polygon to select that panel, right? Then I'm going to detach it, right? So it's separate panels. So I'm gonna call this upper ceiling, right? Bedroom. And then exit out. So right now, when I click here, that panel, it's its own thing, right? So what I can do now is, I'm not able to apply this material because this material applies for everything else. I'm gonna make a duplicate of this material. So just take this one, drag it to any empty space, right? And call it main concrete ceiling. You know, we'll change the name. Right? And then I'm going to apply that one to the top of this thing, right? And then we can do the same thing, right? We can go to you know, UV map, right? Let's go here, and I'm gonna copy the map scale to here. So now it's the same scale right here. So now what I can do now is this panel is completely isolated. I mean, it's controlled by its own material. That it's the same thing as the other one. It just has a unique name. And I did I detached it so it, you know, it's not moving everything else as I apply the material. So if I go now to this one here, and unfortunately it doesn't want to show me the view here. So what I might have to do here is do it here. I'll do and isolate. And we can see a little bit here. It's a little tricky because when I turn the camera, it turns black. Okay, there, we can see a bit here. And ideally, I want to get this line right here, aligned with this. So what I would do here is take this panel, and now, because it's all material, I can just play with this here and get it to align there, right? And again, I'm doing it here because my camera's here, right? I'm not gonna do it down here because maybe I'm never gonna see it, right? So don't waste your time doing things that you're never going to see, right? So let's try, you know, let's do, and actually let's do unhide all, right? Let's render again here. All right, so a little better, right? This line, it's aligning here, right? So it makes it a little bit more precise, right? So I'm okay with that setting. Yes, the room is a little dark, so let's try to bring some light into this space, right? How can I bring light into this space?
The direction of the sun.
Exactly. So let's find the sun. So I'm gonna go to a top view. And where's my camera? My camera's here. So I'm gonna take this sun. Let's put it here.
It has to be towards
Yes.
the camera.
So let's see. So right now it's gonna come in through there. I wanna get some shadow. So I'm gonna move this way. So maybe there's gonna be some shadows coming in through here. All right, let's see what this looks like. We can always, change it afterwards. All right, so even a little bit of sun, right, makes a huge difference, right? And it also depends on the color of the floor, right? Because when the sun hits the floor, right, this floor is, it's kind of a yellowish orange, right? So that means that the entire room is gonna glow with that orange. So the reason why they use this floor in this house, because concrete is very cold, right? It's gray. So when the sun hits the floor, it gives the whole room a very nice, soft light. Right? It glows with an orange tone, right? And typically an orange light makes for a very soothing space, right? So that little difference, already made the whole room appear more, natural, right? Obviously, as the sun comes in more, you're gonna get more light. So I mean, for now, I like how it looks. I don't see really any much problems here. Let's look at other views, right? Let's try my interior upper level bridge and see what this looks like here. So here we are completely engulfed with concrete, everywhere. So we have the concrete, so it's not bad with the concrete panel here. Something there is off. It's weird, yes. This one here. Here looks fine, that looks fine there, that looks fine there. Something there I don't quite like. It appears to be like a line, you see here, line here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that, I didn't see that before, but let's see if we can take that look at that. Yeah. All right, let's see which one it is. It's the left panel. So if my camera is facing this way, it'll be this panel here. Yeah, there it is. You see here, this line. And is it happening on this side? No. All right, so how can we fix this? Let's see. Let's do and isolate. I'm going to take this one and do isolate. All right, so we know that this panel actually works pretty well, right? So let me try one thing. I'm gonna do shift. Actually, let's do, yeah. These are the original ones, right? So I'm gonna take this one and let me just copy it to the side here, right? In case I make a mistake, I'll do copy. And I'm going to delete this one here. This one I'm going to shift and copy here. Now I'm going to, shift and copy to here. But I want it to face the other way, right? So what could you do to try to mimic something and face it the other way? Do you know any command?
You mirror it?
Yes.
Zero.
So let's try that because we do have a command here for that. So this panel is this one here, but I want to have the same interior. So I'm gonna take, and there is a modifier here for mirror over here. Okay. Did it do it yet? I can't tell. So we can mirror along the X, the Y, which is obviously not, the Z. And that's the one. You see how we have here this kind of pattern here, the lines here. Now look at the other side here, with the same pattern there. So it looks like if we mirror on the Z axis, that looks, looks nice. So let's just do and isolate now.
So
And
Professor, did you mirror the object or did you mirror the material?
the object.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I picked the object and I hit mirror. I gave it a mirror property. So I can delete the original one here, right? This is the one that I mirrored. So I'm gonna move this one over here and I'm gonna replace it with this one, right? So this one I can select it and do delete, right? And I'm gonna take this one and get close to here. And then I'm going to just use my, was it here? Yes, here looks clear. I'm gonna use my snaps. So click on snap, right click it, and I'm gonna use endpoint to move from, and then click on move. Let's see here, from this one, and just put it here. Okay. So now that you have the exact same panel on both sides, all right, let's just check it, right? So let's look here, and let's render again. Let's do unhide all. I mean, these are all kind of little tricks that happen all the time, with these things and how to fix them, right? Obviously, you could try to remodel again the whole thing, but because this wall is pretty much symmetrical, there's no point in doing more work, right? And right now, in a way, it's better because we have two identical walls on both sides, right? And we have the exact same mapping, same alignment of everything, so it looks much more precise, right? Here, it looks more white because the sun is hitting the space, and it's overexposed. So that's perfectly normal to see that. So I'm happy with this rendering. Again, right now it's empty, right? It feels like no one lives there, right? It's completely like so later, the next stage would be to make it look like someone lives there, give it some plants and different objects. So it looks more like you could be there. Let me try also the lower level and see what this looks like. So I like how we can see the clouds already in the glass right here. And of course we can see it here. We see the staircase also mirroring on this side here. Again, we have right now no natural lights. That doesn't look too bad at all. So again, a lot of concrete, so we need a lot of plants to make it look soothing eventually. And some idea of chairs. There are some things here that don't align, but I'm not gonna worry about those things, not really a big deal. I like the reflection of the concrete, very, very minimal here. But we can, go into more detail afterwards. Let's see here. We can see the bump over here, right? So if you think the bump is too much, you can always lower the bump of the space. All right, so let me add, two more cameras here. Let's decide where would be a good shot for the camera. So we have a camera on the upper bedroom. If I put one here, it's pretty much the same thing, right? So we're not seeing that much more. So I might do a shot also down here by facing the other direction, just to make to see another perspective. Or maybe actually it could be a nice shot, have by the staircase. So I'm gonna copy this camera, which is lower level. I'm gonna copy it here. We called it lower stair. Let's see what it looks like. So I'll put this camera here, lower stair. Okay. So this could be a nice shot because it's just a little bit too high. So I'm gonna lower this shot a little lower. This could be more dramatic, this shot. And maybe we can try to change the angle of the camera. Right now we're at 17, so it's already pretty extreme for, we can try to go behind the glass, in case, actually no, there's nothing there. So in that case, we'll do it there. And inside here is the entrance. There's really not much there for space. We can try to put one more camera inside the space here. We have nothing inside here. Lower, let's go inside. So I'm gonna put, I think 5 cameras is more than enough for this space. It's pretty small, so you don't need to put more than that. And then we'll try to really focus on making those shots be really precise. And I'll lower the angle of the camera. And this room, it's a different space, right? We can see that this is either, what is this? This is the entrance. So this is like a living, so later we can put like a small sofa here. And back there is the kitchen. So if I take a rendering here, it'll be probably a fairly dark space because, so we'll rely here on having more artificial lights. Right? So and this is a cool detail, right? these lights, do provide, you can see how the wall illuminates with these lights. So that's a very realistic setting. And same thing up here. It's darker over here, but as the window shines here, we get a better sense of light. And so we have a nice natural light coming through here, right? So later, one thing, right now, everything here is natural light, right? We have only direct sun and we have ambient light, right? Later, we're gonna bring also artificial lights, right? That includes lights that are part of a lamp, right? Or it could be lights that are behind the camera, or lights that are just outside those windows to create, a better rendering. Even though they might not be realistic, we are cheating, right? And trying to get the best view out of the space, right? Okay. What time? 3:40. You guys need a break already? I give you guys like a 10-minute break. Or are you guys good? Son of Bar, you see, you don't need a break. How about the rest of the class?
I think I'm good.
You're good, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me know, guys, because when I talk here, it feels like it feels quick, but I know that time flies pretty fast here. So I'm okay with this. I think it looks pretty good, with the materials, right? The lighting, we can always move the sun, up and down, and do those things as much as possible, just to give it more precise things. Let's look at for a second, let's look at the photographs again, just to get an idea. Because the best way also to learn rendering is to get inspired by images, right? So in this case, look at images of this house. Let me find them again. And see, look at the lighting quality, the reflections, the props, which means, chairs, things that would give it more, more detail. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, so let's look at this again. In this case, the sky is pretty overexposed, right? It could be the camera setting, the floor is different. We have a chair here. This I really don't like the most. It's not that I don't feel like I can connect to this image. It feels too cold to me, right? Let's look at other ones here. This is actually a pretty nice shot. It gives you the very industrial feel of the light. And there are lights here. These are the lights here. They're little spherical globes, right? That they have a light behind it, so we can create those things afterwards. Right? The lights inside here are just very simple lights, just like an orange light, but it does create a very cool reflection here, right? So we can try to create that thing also. Again, we have here the light over here. There's one on each side. I forgot what this light looks like because right now it's on, but I'm not sure. See if we can find a shot of that. So here's the light on, which is good. There's two of these on each side. We can try to also recreate that. I think it's the same type of light found over there. So we use the same style. A half sphere. Simple one here, black and white. Yeah, we could put blinds, whether we have it or not, that's not a big deal. Let's see here. This one I do like a lot, this, so in a way I want to try to create something like this. And this shot, I want to try see if we can match the angle of this shot, right? And this actually, because this gives the natural light, it gives you the reflection, it gives you the props, So there's stuff happening in the foreground, in the middle ground, and the background. So when you put a photograph, always think about those three things. So why is it important to have foreground, middle ground, and background? What do they create in a rendering?
It's a sense of hierarchy.
Yes, sense of hierarchy. What else?
Depth.
Depth, exactly. So that's probably the most important one. They create depth. Otherwise, it might seem very flat, right? The image, right? So we have something always here in the, the foreground. The middle ground is probably the most important because that's where you can relate. In this case, the middle ground is the chair, the lamp, this poster, and the background is everything that happens, over there. So again, there's not much here. A few books, a magazine that looks like it's half open, a record player. So all these things trigger your mind to imagine that you could be in that place, relaxing it. So, later I'm gonna give you guys a library of elements, chairs that you guys can pick and start to, create these things. We also do lamps, make this artificial lighting, and we try to match this camera, angle here. we're not doing anything on the outside because, you know, it would just be, you know, just too much space. We'll have to model the other places there. So we're gonna focus. This is actually a pretty cool shot, you know. So I wouldn't mind trying something like this, you know, if we do like an extra camera. So this shot appears to be, well, let's try, we can, you know, capture this shot, you know. Again, we have chairs here with a nice light hitting the chair, makes it very soft. A couple of vases there, more chairs there, and a few props, you know, some plants. So I'll give you guys, you know, different plants. We can choose which one to use and we can apply them. So we can see here actually more, this lamp is the one that's shown here. There's a few more lamps inside the space. So everything is very industrial. And you see here, this is very gray. So you can always take the material to Photoshop and just make it more gray tone. That's pretty much it, yeah. So let's try to capture something like this. You know, this is a very cool shot, I think, to show. So definitely use these shots to give you, you know, inspiration here. So let's scroll back to here. All right, so let's make a 6 camera. So I'm going to just, again, take this one here. It's starting to get a bit confusing here because when I click here, I'm clicking also the wall. So I'm going to just go up here and do select just cameras so that I don't make any mistakes. And I'm gonna do shift, copy. We call this aerial view. And again, doesn't have to be the same thing, but we're gonna try and do something similar. So something up here, I assume it's there. Oh, that looks very weird. Okay, we're gonna have to fix that. So this camera, actually, it should be pointed almost straight down, right? It could be that my angle also is too strong, right? The camera angle. So I'm just gonna check this one here. And we're at 17, let's make it 24 millimeters. I think better just delete this camera, you know, this being already modified too much. See how it's acting very weird here? I'm just gonna put a new camera. So I'll go to cameras, physical, and just put a camera here. Fine, just click on the icon there and I'm gonna go straight down. Why is it looking so strange?
Is it because the actual camera isn't tilted looking down?
Yeah, but, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's when I move it, it's not letting me move it precisely. Okay, so this is this one. It's not moving correctly for some reason. So let's try to add the camera in the front view, facing down. Yeah, something is wrong here. Let me see. Do I have anything set that shouldn't be set here? Snaps are off. Let's try something else. Let's just put the camera like this. Okay, I'm gonna select the camera. Let's try to use rotate. Okay, like this better. Yeah, so we won't try to distort the camera too much. And we can always go like this afterwards. Okay, let's try that. Okay, it's looking a little better. Still, yeah, it's not letting me rotate it enough like I wanted to. I'm going to change the angle of the camera from 24 to 17. No. it didn't like that. That it didn't like. Now that became completely distorted. Something happened with that view. Sorry, I haven't had this problem before in the previous Macs. This is it's a bit odd that it's looking like this. Let's try one more time. Yes, the camera's acting strange. Physical camera. All right, for now I'm gonna skip this camera. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Something here is acting. It's not acting the way they should be. I mean, right now it's fine here. We can see that when I go to select it. It starts to become, you know, the controls are not really precise. I'm just kind of guessing here. Okay, that's a little better, yeah. Let me see this here. Yeah, I don't know what that is. In the correct viewport. All right, well, I guess we'll skip this camera. I don't know why it's giving this error. I mean, this viewport is completely not what I see here. So, okay, we'll leave the camera as it is. All right, so we'll try to create those 5 views, right? Let's see if we can. So let's do a little bit of artificial lights, right? So let's start with the lower inside view here. It's a very dark view, right? So although they might not be realistic, you know, there's actually no lights behind the glass, but many times when you do a shoot, you know, you do plenty of artificial lights to enhance, the effect, right? So it's a light that you're never gonna see, but they're gonna be right behind the window, right? So let's see if we can create those lights, right? So first of all, let me just, okay, I need this view here. So I'm gonna maximize this view. And we'll start my camera. So it's these, areas here. So let's go to the lights, right? And we have, different lights. At this point, we haven't touched any of these lights yet. So this will be our first artificial light that we use, right, in the scene. Right now, all that we have is the sun, which is a direct light, and we have the sky, which is an ambient light. So this is going to be called a fill light. A fill light is any light that is behind the camera or behind that scene that we never see, right? It's just there to fill up the space with more light and to improve the quality of the rendering. So I'm going to use a V-Ray light and click on V-Ray, right? And then we have the choice. The light can look like a plane. It can look like a dome, a sphere, a mesh, a disc. I'm gonna pick a plain light and I'm gonna just make the light the size of that opening, right? Like that. Before I do anything else, I wanna place the light in the correct location because if I switch to a top view, the light is right here. All right, and this light should be not inside, but just outside the space. Here. So here's my glass plane, right? Here's my window frame, and here's the light that is outside those elements. I'll go to the property, so it's a plain light. We can choose, we can give it a color, we can give it an intensity. Let's see. Let's go to the advanced options. Let's go to here, options. So first of all, I want this light to cast shadows. If you say double-sided, it's gonna emit light in both sides of the light of the plane, right? If you leave it as checked off, it will only emit light where the arrow is pointing, right? I do want the light to be invisible, right? Because if I leave it as not invisible, you're gonna see a white box, right? So I'm gonna make it invisible. So all you see is the light coming off of the light, and you don't see the actual source. So for now, let's leave it at that. And later, the rest, don't touch the rest. Yeah, those can be left how they are. Then this slide, I'm gonna copy it. Let's go back to all. I'm gonna pick the light, hold down the shift key. And in this case, I will do instance because when I make a change here, I want it to change also to everything in my scene, right? And you see there are the lights here, right? There, they're right behind the glass, right? Let's see what it looks like. Right now, we haven't changed anything. We haven't changed the intensity of these lights. But you should be able to see a little bit more light coming through here, right? I don't know if you remember the old one. All right. So let's make another change here so you guys can see what everything does. Let's go to, so first of all here, I'm gonna uncheck invisible, right? And just render one of them, see what happens. You see now how you see a white box, right? If you leave invisible off, it's gonna show the source. That means that white box shining light, So in this case, make sure invisible is set, check mark. So this way, all you see is the light and not the actual light source. Let's try the intensity. Right now it's 30. Let's make it 90. Let's render again. I'm gonna render only this piece over here. Can you see how it brings much more light into the space, right? Do you see a difference?
Yeah.
So if I go, let's see that, again, also there's an on button over here for the lights, right? So I can always turn the on button off, right? And let me render half the scene here. Let's do half there. So right now it's rendering with no light, right? I mean, there was a nice effect and everything, but having those lights there does make a big difference in the space, right? So at this point, now that I know that these lights look, they look pretty good, I can take those lights and I can copy them to the other side, right? So I'm gonna take these two lights, hold down the shift key, do instance, and keep moving to this side here. And here just do, rotate. And I'm gonna hit here the angle toggle, so it rotates at 5-degree increments. And I can leave it like that. Again, place it right outside the light source, behind the glass. Let's make the intensity 100. Let's render. Oops. Let me cancel this. Let's show, remove the region and render again. Okay. And let's see what this looks like. Again, all this little, noise slowly becomes faded, as it renders the final image. So you guys can see here, right now it gives you, it should give you an estimate once you figure out how long it will take. But this is a nice effect because you do see this kind of glow in here and a glow here, and it gives you also some nice shadows on the bottom right. And because these lights can be used through a color, then you can also make effects for this space, right? So for example here, if I decide to, okay, let's pick this light over here. I can say, so there's two ways to choose color, right? You can do color by just color, or you can do color by temperature, right? Temperature means Kelvin, right? Do you know what Kelvin means?
No,
Yes.
Anybody?
I don't.
Okay. Does anybody want to explain what Kelvin is?
I think it's 273.5 to Celsius. That's gonna translate.
Okay, yeah. So Kelvin is a measurement of temperature, right? Of temperature, heat temperature, right? So yeah, the Kelvin, so a very low number is a very red light, right? A very high number is a very blue light. going towards white lights. So for example, if I put here mode temperature, and I put the temperature to be 3000 Kelvin, that's a very red looking light or orange light. So see how this color would change automatically, right? If I do 5000, it gets to be more white. If I do 8000, it starts to look more blue, right? So let's start with 3000 Kelvin, right, and see what it looks like. Let's render again here. So I just changed the whole, atmosphere, the space, by changing the color temperature of the light outside the space, right? So in a way, you could try to mimic, city lights, right? Something that, are a certain, atmosphere. So again, this light is 3000, so it's more of a, orange color, right? You can see how it changes the entire, atmosphere, right? If I change the light again to, let's make it, so pick light again. I'll make it a temperature of 8000 Kelvin. So that's a very blue light. And render again. So Kelvin, Kelvin can only go from red to blue to white. That's the only difference. You can't pick green, right? You can't pick purple, right? It's just a measurement of temperature. So temperature is from red light all the way to blue. Red being a hot light, blue being something cold, right? So that's the only limitation. If you want a very unique light, let's say green, right, or purple, right, then you cannot use temperature. In that case, just use color, right? And then on the color here, you can pick whatever you want. We can make the light to be, let's make it something like purple, right? This color purple is fine, right? Render again. And now we get a nice purple light effect in the scene, right? Which again, this is all dealing with the atmosphere, right? You wanna make a nice atmosphere to give that room a character. It could be the light that you like, a more relaxing space, a party scene, I don't know, whatever you guys can think of, but that light can be used to mimic, those things, right? So that's our first kind of artificial light that we can use. And ideally in this project, I will put these lights in every single window, let's say, right? It's not really gonna take that much long. And there are 4 windows in every space. So there's 4 on top and there's 4 more. So this way, if you're gonna get more hints of color throughout the space, right? If you go and so right now, these 4 are all copied as instances. That means that if I make any change, they will all change automatically, right? When I go to the next room, I would do a copy of everything, right? In case you wanna change the color, right? So otherwise, if you do copy and you keep it the same for everything, if you change this to blue, they will all change to blue, right? So think about, maybe there's 4 different zones, this room is 1 zone, above is 1 zone, and then these 2 others are different zones. So you can make 1 red, 1 blue, 1 pink, whatever you guys want to make it more, dramatic. So think about different zones for lighting that we can make. Okay. So I'm trying to, again, to mix here like 2 different, to make up for last week's class, by adding all these things here. All right, so let's look at the, what's next here. So we have these lights that we can copy to other parts of the scene. This part, okay, let's see here. So let's do, remember those lights that were found below the space here? They were like little spheres, almost like half spheres. So that'll be also a different type of artificial light, for example. So if I go here to my next scene, there was a little light that was below here. So I think I might just move this camera. Like this. And there was a light over here, right? That was shining before. If again, look at the photographs and you're gonna be able to see it. So I'm gonna take, for example, so I'm gonna take this and isolate it. So there's that little, lower piece here. And I'm going to, again, to make the light very simple. So let's say we can take, there's a sphere and there's a geosphere. Do you know what's the difference? Anybody? So a sphere is solid, a geosphere is hollow inside. That's, pretty much the only difference. So we're going to take, again, and we can save time because we don't really have to cut the sphere in half. You know, we can just embed the sphere in the concrete, and we're not gonna see pretty much, you know, the rest. So we're going to use a, let's see here. Yes, we're gonna do two things here. Let's make a sphere first. And I'm gonna make a sphere, and I'm gonna put it here, for example. Let's make it a radius, I'll have here 1 inch. No. Let's make it 2-inch radius. There's a sphere here. And let me look at here. And again, I'm gonna embed it because it's a dome. So again, we don't care because we're never gonna see the other parts. So again, I could take time to cut it in half and, you know, but again, we're trying to save time. So that's our sphere shape, right? And this sphere needs to glow, right? First of all, and needs to create shadows, right? So we need to imitate a glowing sphere, and we need to imitate a light that is more like an omni-light, something that glows on all different, you know, directions. Right? So first of all, we're gonna give this sphere a material that emits light called a V-ray light material. So let's go here to material tab, and we're gonna create a new material. So I'm gonna move to the right. We have here an empty space, right? And here we're going to go to get material. And this one is called here, as you can find it over here. It's called V-ray light material. It looks like a glowing white sphere. And there it is, right? It is, you can tell that, you know, it's like a glowing sphere, right? And this, all it does is it glows, you know, it doesn't really, so this light material is not enough to create shadows, right? It's not enough to light a room. It's just an effect of glowing, right? We're gonna have to add a different light to create the actual glow and create the shadows. But this gives you the effect of a glowing sphere, right? So all we do here is we can choose the color, right? So we can make the sphere any color we want to glow. We can give it a little bit of a, you know, an orange tone to the sphere or to the light source. Just pick whatever color you want. Let's see, that, for example. And then the number here controls the intensity. 1 being the lowest setting. You know, if I do it 50, it glows even more, right? So we can do that. So for now, I'll leave it, let's leave it at 10% intensity. We can always change later. And I'm going to apply that material to this sphere. So I'm gonna click the sphere and apply, right? So let's see what this, you know, looks like in the scene here. So I'm going to end isolate. There is the sphere. So let me just get a better shot of my camera. Okay, like this. Well, let's render how it is right now. See if we can see any difference right now. So right now, there's the sphere, right? Do you see anything? Do you see like any glowing effect yet?
Not yet.
All right, so
No.
again, and there's still too much light in the scene, right? So what I might do here is I'm gonna turn the sun off for a second, right? So for that, just, you know, click on the sun, go to the properties, and the first button here, enable, just uncheck it, and that'll disable the sun, and then it will turn black. That means that it's off. So let's go back to the material, and obviously 10 is too little, so now let's try, you know, let's try 70, right? And let's render again. So now that's material is, you know, is making something, right? But it's not strong enough to create shadows down here, right? It's just not strong enough. It's only there for the effect that it glows, right? So it is, you know, it looks like because it glows here, the concrete shows also the glowing effect, but you know, there's no light source down here. So we're gonna add a different light right below it that glows, you know, that will give you an actual light source, right? So I'm going to maximize this view here. This is the front view. There's my light, right? And the same light that I used before, you know, to make these things, right? This was a V-ray light plane. We use the same light but a different shape, right? So we can go here to lights, V-ray, V-ray light, and instead of using plane, I'm gonna use a sphere light, which means it's gonna glow in all different. And I'm not gonna put it inside. I'm gonna put it right below it. Oops. No, I don't want that. Sorry. I want bigger light. Sphere, yes. Okay. And I'm gonna put it right below the space right here. So again, this is a sphere light. We can, and I'll go in more detail. The intensity, let's make it a 100. This light is very orange looking, so I'm going to give it a all right, for now, let's try that. 100 intensity, and the other settings I'll modify in a second. For now, let's leave it like that. Okay, and see what this looks like. First of all, this light here, check where it's placed, because when I put it here, it's not really technically below the sphere. We have to go back to a top view and move the light. So here it is. So, and just move it to be right below the other one. And what happened here? Okay. So let's try again to render this view. All right, so we get a bit more light. Actually, there's a problem there. What's the problem there?
You gotta make it invisible.
Exactly, yes. The light is still visible. So we're going to click the light, right? And go to the options. We're gonna cast shadows, yes. In this case, I'm gonna make it double-sided. I'm gonna make it invisible, right? Right. And the only problem is the light is not really going too far, right? So that's better. You know, we don't see the actual sphere. We see the light material. There is light, and there's more light over here, right? Again, we can make it more intense. Let's see, we can, you know, click this and make it a 200% multiplier. Render again. Should become a little bit stronger. So we see more light, and now we see some shadows here, right? Some shadows there being cast. Okay, that's better. What else can we do here? So I'm gonna maximize this viewport here. Click the light. So we have sphere type. Radius is the size of the, so this is important because the bigger the radius, the more farther the light's going to spread, right? Target, don't touch that, sorry. So okay, the target is so 7 feet 4 inches. So this means how far the light's going to reach before it stops, you know, shining. So let's say I'm gonna put this here. Let's try 10 feet for now. Okay, that's close enough. And render again. So you should be able to see a bit more light there, but let's see. Okay, so that's, I think we need more intensity. This light is not really strong enough. So let's make it much more brighter. Let's make it, I don't know, 500. And let's render again. All right, you see now we're getting more light through the whole scene here. Right? Slowly there, it's being spread out through everything. It's starting to create a bigger effect on the concrete. We get some more defined shadows, and we get some lighting there. Let's see here. I can also move the sphere a little bit lower here to allow more light to be there. If I change the radius here, let's say to 1 foot, and I render again. That didn't make a difference. Let's see. A few things have changed. Let me just check one more thing here. I'll put targeted 1 foot. Oops, what happened here? Okay, so I do see a bit more light here. So I see more light there. If I cancel this and I turn off the targeted, let's try to see if I see a difference. Nothing really. I don't see really much difference there in the light source. So ideally, there's one of these lights on both sides, right? And there's also one inside the space there. So for now, again, you can always go up here and change the color. You can, change the intensity. This light, because it's maybe instead of using color, I'm gonna use temperature and make a temperature of 3000, which is a very typical light type, which is a very orange light. 500 images there, 500 multiplier. What else? Okay, that's all. Let's try this one. All right, so that one I like much better. The orange color, I feel more natural with the space. And actually, this is not because you can see that the light also shines over here, or you see a few areas of light, and we can see it here because it's a little bit of concrete that's reflective of it, right? So what I would do here now is just take this whole thing, right, top and bottom, copy it, and there's one on each side, and do shift and put it here, right? And do instance. So those two are meant to be the same. Yeah. So now when I render here, I should get a bit more light in the space coming from both sides. And now we see the glass, that the glass always mimics the infinity, right, of the windows, or sorry, of the lights.
Yes.
Again, we're not dealing with a night rendering yet, but we're getting close to looking at both different aspects of the rendering. If I go back now to a daytime, which means just turn the sun on again, and I render, it's still I might still want to have the light on because it's just for the effect. So at this point, we've learned already kind of the fill light that are behind the windows, the same light type used as a sphere for this glowing light, and then the V-Ray light material that we're using just to make that shape, glow a bit more. Let's see, what else was I gonna do here? That we'll do later. Okay, so guys, right now you guys are being fairly quiet. Any questions? Just let me know.
I have a question.
Yes, Katya, thank you.
It's about my wooden floor. When I apply materials, from one side I can see it, from another side on my orthographic view I can't see it. I mean, it's hard to explain. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Let me unshare mine.
Ah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see it, Professor?
Not yet. I think it's loading. Okay, I can see it.
Okay, so you see over here I have, I mean, it's shown, and here it's not shown, but when I did my rendering it shows on both sides. So why I wouldn't see it here, and it's kind of hard to scale it and map it.
Ah, so you can't see it there. I see it. Okay.
Yeah, just on one side. On this side it's okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, it could be, I didn't apply in my case, right? You have the same model, right?
Yeah.
So I think in my case, I didn't apply to this one yet. So it could be that it's a problem here. No, I did apply it, right? I did apply to both of them, right? In my case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and nothing, what? All right, so can you select this material? The one that has looks invisible? Okay, click that, okay, and isolate it. Right click it and isolate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so you applied, so you have Boolean, okay. Did you do a Boolean effect? Oh, all right, so at the beginning of class, right, I picked everything and I did convert to editable mesh. That was very, I think, were you here at the beginning of the class?
Yeah, I was.
That was very important to do. You see how yours says Boolean at the bottom? Go to the other one.
Yeah, no, I saw that one, but I did this model before the class. So, okay. And how come like this was one then editable mesh and this one was Boolean?
because this model was made a while ago, so it was made through different Boolean effects. So in the beginning, when I picked everything and did convert to editable mesh, that pretty much erased all the Boolean effects and made everything permanent. So right now, right click it and do convert to editable mesh for that shape. Yes. Okay, zoom in closer so I can see better. Okay, can you try again to apply the material?
Sure.
Let's see. Can you put show material on viewport? It's on the left side. Let me see if I can, next to the apply material tab. Keep going right, keep going right, keep going. Keep going. Two more. That one, yes. That's up, okay, there you go. So when you click that, it shows the material in the viewport.
Okay.
Okay, so now you can do UV map and you can do map scaler and it should work. Try it out, see if it works. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it looks better, yes.
Yes, much better.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
No problem, you're welcome. Does anybody else have any problems you want to share the screen with?
No, actually, that was very helpful because I was having some issue with my walls for like when we did the homework, and
Yes.
I wasn't showing it wasn't showing the material. It only showed when I was rendering, so I didn't know like what was going on. So I kept rendering every time to like try to see if I could scale it.
Yes.
But what you just did about like showing the material, now that I did it, now it shows the material.
Okay, excellent.
I can see it. But I also
Okay.
have a question with the camera. So when you copy
Sure.
a camera,
Mhm.
I copied one of the cameras and put it in like in a different room. And when I tried to render, it was all like dark. And when I went back to like my entrance of camera, it was also like dark. Like it was.
Can you share the screen so I can see, or is that possible? I mean,
So then I closed it and then I opened it.
Yeah.
And my entrance was working again. But before that, it wasn't showing.
It could be a glitch with Mac. Sometimes, this happens, and I mean, I will have to see what's wrong, right? Many times, if you know everything is correct and it's something doing it wrong, just close Max and open it again. And it will reset that little glitch that's happening. It happens to me all the time, I'm working with a light and I change the intensity, nothing happens. I make it brighter, nothing happens. And I know everything's right, so I just turn Max off, open it again, and everything works again perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I did. So
it happens sometimes. I mean, Max is a very good software, but it still suffers from a lot of glitches. So it's part of it's normal.
Okay.
With these things, yes. Okay, anyone else wants to share the screen? No? Okay, you guys are quiet. Okay, so I mean, this is already a lot of stuff for today, right? So I mean, we pretty much, let me actually share the screen, go back to this one here. All right, so again, this model is pretty much already mapped, everything, right? I haven't missed anything here. I already have 5 cameras set, which is nice. I think, did I move? Yeah, so everything's mapped, I have some basic lights. So right now I put these lights right there, right? What I would do is I would put more of those lights, on top. So very easy, just, go up here and do lights, right? So you can select only lights. I will go here to the front view, for example. And here are my lights. So I'm gonna take all of them, right? It's gonna pick these 4, the ones in front and behind. And I'm gonna shift and copy these here. But do copy, right? Don't do, in case you want to later change the, what do you call the color, right? So right now, these are all purple lights. So eventually I will have to change the color, right? And then I can take again these 4, right? And I can do again, copy right here. Do copy. So now in a way I have 4 different zones, right? Of of lights. And I can have 4 different colors at the same time if I want to, right? So that will give you a lot of more light that could be for ambient, for effect. And we see now these lights are shining along here. Also make these 2 lights that are here, which is just sphere lights, apply the V-Ray light material and the sphere light that's there. Let's see. In the next class, I'm gonna make a library of chairs, tables, stuff that we can use, and you guys can pick, a chair of your choice, right? And we can start to add props to the scene, right? Including also trees and these effects, to make the scene appear more, realistic. Right now, it looks like a museum, right? It's completely, everything is just empty, right? There's nobody living there. There's very little space. 1 second, bedroom in lower inside, lower stairs. I'm looking for the upper view. There's one more. Bedroom, yes. So let me run this one here. So especially like this view here, it looks empty, right? So part of this, is trying to figure out, what do I want to add here? Again, this color floor, is very orange. If you want to find a different floor, that's fine with me. If you want to make it a dark floor or more reddish, I'm okay with that, right? Right now, these lights are still purple, so you see that the effect is being seen, in the windows, in the reflections, and a little bit here. When I turn the lights off and the sun is off, then the effect becomes more, more dramatic in the space. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else I missed here to give you guys. So I think, that's already a lot of things. The next topic takes, another 2 hours to cover, so I'm not going to start it today. That'll deal with, more precise camera settings. And eventually for this scene, we're gonna render 3 types of views. We're gonna render daytime renderings, evening renderings, and night renderings, right? So we can capture the whole day, right? So when you pick those 5 renderings, right, we're gonna do 5 that are daytime, 5 that are evening, and 5 that are nighttime, right? And as you change the, the morning to evening, we also play with the lights, and try to make it more dramatic, right? So that you can really show the space under any light condition. You can transform it, and show any audience, this space, right? So obviously in the daytime, we'll focus on getting shadows, right? And direct light. In the evening, the light is not very strong. The sky becomes more pink, or orange. So we do more with artificial lights, And then at night, where we have more of a, black sky or more towards dusk, where it's more like a blue sky, then we'll deal more with the sky having a light source. And we do more with having lamps, right? Create focus elements, So a lamp has a focus on a chair, on a painting, right? So it creates a certain atmosphere through these elements, right? So I think, I'll leave it at here for today for you guys. And you guys have plenty of, to practice with these things. Next week,
Professor?
Please, yes. Who was that?
I came in like 5 later.
Stephanie, yes.
I was just wondering if you marked me present.
I did, yes. I went through it, yeah. I put you there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Actually,
thank
is Dante there? No? Dante, so I'm gonna mark Dante absent. Daniel Javier. All right. And Bedur?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's see, and Olivia. Olivia, okay, absent, okay. 1 second, let me just save this. Okay, what was the question? Yes, someone had a question, right? No?
No.
Okay, I thought I heard somebody. Okay, so make sure that also, and for next week, right? Again, set up your 5 cameras. Right now, we're doing only daytime, so I want you guys to render 5 shots for next week, right? And next week, we're gonna start going in more detail, critiquing everyone's rendering. So beginning of class, I'm gonna go to the folder, right? And go to everyone's folder and go through your 5 renderings. And then as a class, we can critique each other, and just start to, to see what things need more work or or we can adjust the settings to make it look more realistic. Okay. Any other questions? Is everyone here okay with 3D Max and V-Ray? Before I forget that.
You mean the license? And
Yes.
everything? Oh, no.
So right now,
Who can get the license for B-Ray?
So I guess I'm assuming that the trial version already expired, right?
It's gonna expire
Next week.
at the end of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine expired already.
Okay. So are you guys able to get the license, you know, through an extension or maybe a different email?
I'll try to do that by like different
Professor?
emails.
Yes.
So if I don't know if you guys did it already, but if you do the student version, they give you a whole year.
Oh, free?
Yes.
Really?
For everything in Autodesk. So anything that you do in Autodesk, I use my school email, and they ask you for what school you go to and everything.
You mean for
They
the
give you a
V-Ray
year
or for
for
the?
like Rabbit and 3D Mask, like everything.
Yeah. So those things, yes. If you make an account with Autodesk, you get a year free of 3D Max, you know, Revit, all those things, but not for V-Ray. V-Ray is a different. It's a plugin. Did you also get for V-Ray or no?
I haven't yet, and I was checking, so
Okay.
I don't know for like 100%.
Okay. All right. All right.
So Vrebe has Vrebe has sent me an email. They said to purchase the student version, and it's like they give, I think it's 99 for a year,
Yes, for a year. Yes.
49 for all the softwares, like for Rhino, Sketch, any software they offer with Vrebe.
Really?
149 for student.
Okay. I mean, 99 for a year. Again, that's like, you know, it's less than $10 a month, right?
Yeah, it's
So
not that bad. I just got it.
it's not that bad. You know, you're saving pretty much, you know, 2 Starbucks coffees per day or less that you don't drink.
Yep.
So I mean, again, you know, I mean, it's a very useful software. You know, again, last year, you know, they gave us an extension. Looks like this year they don't want to do it again. So yeah, if you are able to do that, you know, that'll be ideal, right, for the class. It's something that, you know, it really adds to your experience, you know, in the portfolio. And any, you know, any company needs somebody that can render, you know, like this. So it's a very important skill, you know, and this is how I started, you know, working. You know, my first job was rendering, and from there, you know, I moved on to other, you know, other jobs. But I started by doing renderings for, you know, for a large firm.
Professor, is there any other way that we can get a license without having to pay? Because not everyone can afford it. I know I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
afford it. So I was hoping that like somehow we could have gotten access to the school's license.
I spoke to, yeah, I'm still speaking to Emmanuel, right? Emmanuel is our IT guy, right? He's the one that, you know, and he's been checking with, he's trying to, you know, with them negotiate with Chaos Group, you know, to be able to get the license, right? And, you know, I'm still checking with him every week. So, you know, when I know an update, I will let you guys know, you know. I keep pushing him to find a way to, yeah, because again, in the school, everything has V-Ray, and, you know, it's, again, it's a cost, you know, to have you guys buy it, you know, yourself. So I understand. Just guys, hold on for a second here. I'm going to just, don't leave yet. I'm just going to stop the video because I think for today, this is everything that I'll cover in the lecture, you know, so just look at the video, practice those things. Other things don't affect, you know, the lecture. So let me just stop recording for now so that we don't record all these things in the video. Stop recording.